For more on this, I want to bring in Victoria de Francesco Soto, the dean of the Clinton School of Public Service at the University of Arkansas, and former Republican Congressman Carlos Curbelo from Florida. They are both MSNBC political analysts. So, Victoria, first with you. The new polling in 3 swing states shows some movement towards Harris on issues, among others, of immigration. The vice president discussed the issue this weekend. Here's what we heard.
We know our immigration system is broken, and we know what it takes to fix it. Comprehensive reform that includes strong border security and an earned pathway to citizenship.
This is just almost carbon copy to what we've heard from President Biden and others. Is this, Victoria, enough, or does she have to define things even more?
Jose, this is part of the strategy that Vice President Harris is going to have to employ with regards to immigration. The other piece of it is highlighting that she is going to be strong. And during her rally in Arizona, I loved how she came out and she asserted that she is part of those law enforcement officials that went after the bad actors, that went after the drug cartels, the smugglers, the transnational gangs, because for better or worse, immigration has really become linked to the issue of crime, because we hear all of these terrible stories that highlight the crime component. And for her to set out and say, I'm going to go after these bad actors, but at the same time, I want to make pathways for the folks who are here, the law-abiding immigrants, the DACA recipients, the path to citizenship. So I really like how she's balancing that toughness with we've got to fix the problem.
Carlos, meanwhile, Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, discussed Trump's mass deportation plan. Here's some of what he said over the weekend.
President Trump is absolutely right. You cannot have a border unless you're willing to deport some people. I think it's interesting that people focus on, well, how do you deport 18 million people? Let's start with 1 million. That's where Kamala Harris has failed, and then we can go from there.
So, Carlos, the Trump campaign clearly doubling down on the issue of mass deportation. It seems as though the issue is here. One side talks about it this way. The other side talks about it this way. But then the underlying reality is never really focused upon.
Well, that's true, Jose, but the political center on immigration has moved towards Republicans in the last 3.5 years. And I really do think that when Vice President Harris actually has to sit down for interviews with people like you and others, it's going to be a tough issue for her. We've seen her struggle with it in the past. This is why Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are going on offense on immigration. They think they can't lose. Sure, they've adopted a very hard line years ago that would have been highly controversial, but because there's been so much chaos at the border over the last few years, now a lot of Americans really do agree with that hard line, and that's why Trump and Vance are going to try to highlight this issue as much as possible. We'll see how Harris deals with it when she actually sits down and meets the press.
And Victoria, meanwhile, in his first interview since exiting the race, President Biden discussed how he made his decision to drop out from re-election. Listen to this.
What happened was a number of my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate thought that I was going to hurt them in the races. And I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. You'd be interviewing me about why did Nancy Pelosi say, why did so, and I thought it'd be a real distraction.
Pretty remarkable, the president explaining why he decided to get out.
A lot of variables here. I don't think that it was one alone. I mean, obviously, it is very difficult to give up that quest for public service. Jose, you know this, that public service is the noblest of callings. It is something that elected officials, folks in the public service arena, that is their fuel. And I think that that difficulty was letting go of that personal component, but realizing that it was part of the larger good of public service for the colleagues. So that being one component of it, of the decision to walk away.
Carlos, meanwhile, at this time, Trump only has one event organization docketed this week. He'll hold a rally in North Carolina on Wednesday. How unusual is this, considering that very clearly the other side is on fire?
Also, it really seems that this switch from President Biden to Vice President Harris leading the Democratic ticket has really paralyzed the Republican campaign. They saw it coming for a while. I think a lot of people saw it coming. However, it's pretty clear that they were not prepared. They're still figuring out which are the attacks that are going to work. The personal attacks that President Trump has launched in recent weeks, they're clearly not working. That's not resonating. The attacks don't stick.
If anything, they're resonating to the negative.
Well, they're hurting him. That's right. So this is a campaign in flux right now. They're figuring out how to go forward. I think they're going to watch this Democratic convention, see what the themes that the Democrats embrace are, and then try to retool afterwards. But right now, it's a campaign that seems frozen in time.
Victoria, I'm just wondering your thoughts on that. It would seem as if during this time, a week before a convention, that it would be that the other side would do everything in their power to create some headlines and movement on their side before the convention begins.
I think that's true. But to underscore what Carlos said, I think that they are so thrown off and that they're taking a beat and that they're going to see how the Democratic convention, how it goes on, because I think right now they understand that the Democratic ticket is enjoying its honeymoon and it can do counter programming. But what they have seen is, let this play out a little bit. Let's regroup. Let's huddle in our war room and then strategize. Because if there's one thing that we know about the Trump campaign is that they can be very tactical and very calculating. They need to settle, calm down. I think there was a lot of emotion in that switch that, quite frankly, Donald Trump did not expect. And then I think following the Democratic convention, we are going to see some very targeted lines of attack. Whether they stick or not is a different story, but we're going to see a whole new portfolio of attacks within a week.
Victoria, Francesco Soto, and Carlos Curbelo, thank you both so very much for being with us this morning.